Okay, so I'm happy to see you all. Glad you're all here. Thank you. So it's Graphic Design 2, and it's October 10th. And tonight we're going to review your final submission for your event posters, okay? And tonight we'll critique them together, like we do. And I'd like to invest a lot of energy in critiquing them so you can go back to your posters and refine them one more time to perfect them. Does that work for all of you? Yeah, really?
Reviewing digital drafts.
Oh, is today digital draft still? Is that true? Yeah, look at Garrett's panicked. Okay, so here's our digital drafts. Okay, Braley, thank you for keeping me on target. You know, it's funny. So I want to have a conversation with you before we review our digital drafts so you can get to your final ones. But I'm hoping what I really hope is that the digital drafts become very sophisticated. But I want to talk to you about the class. I think I had a conversation I can't remember, last week or the previous one, where I think I said to all of you that my intention for all of you is to truly benefit from the class, that you get guidance and portfolio-worthy pieces, right? Is that last week or the week before? Week before. Okay. I said it a few times. Well, you know what? I'm so glad I have, and I really appreciate it. My brain gets clouded. I teach 3 classes, and I also work full time, so my brain gets a little clouded with what I say. But the other part to it is, I know I have said this before in this class, that I inherited a lot of the content of this class, and I'm like you, I'm finding my way through this class. And I'm finding that in classes that I've developed from the beginning, I'm really clear on the parameters, and I think that the instructions and the parameters are so clear. And as I was combing through this class, I had to clean up the instructions because I couldn't understand them. It's not good, right? And as I look at them, I realize that there's a way to streamline them even more. But what I want to start with is I have graded everybody's billboard, okay? And I'm hoping from our few critiques that we had on the billboard projects that you all got the feedback you needed to improve them. Can I get feedback from you if that's the case? Everybody's kind of nodding their heads. Like, yeah, we got what we needed. Is that what that means? Yeah, Al.
I just really appreciate your comments on the going to the online for things I missed, and it was really helpful for my next project, for this one. Yeah, because all the detail you wrote, that was just really helpful.
Thank you. I can't tell you how long it takes me to do it. So the fact that you even say that is like so meaningful to me. And for some of you, I think I voice memoed you. Yeah? Did I do that to some of you? Okay, and I voice memo you because there's probably so much to write that I don't want to miss anything. And thank you for saying it about typing a comment. Some comments are typed, some are both typed and voice memoed. It's everything. But what I want to be clear, because I feel like maybe it's really my fault, to be honest. Many of you have taken the typography class from me. So everybody, I believe, who's taken typography from me really gets the concept of a design brief and what goes into it. And so for the visual metaphor, I worry that maybe I wasn't specific enough about what the heck a design brief is. Because I don't, does it show up here? Because I think it was kind of a given that everybody understood it by this level of class. But what I want to review is, and I'm going to do it verbally. I don't want to pull up a page. I'll create a link on everything so it refers back to it. But for everybody, a design brief, just to reiterate for all of you, basically has a format. You're going to do some research. You're going to figure out your target market. Let's see if it's on our next project, just on the event poster. That sound is really a lot of fun, right? The scan sound. Yeah, I'll create a link here. I'll create a link for design brief. Let me just get us to one and I'll show you the page that's going to link to. Sorry. I use the same design brief link for everything. So here's one of those links, and here's a second one. So they get referred to as process books, or they get to refer to as design briefs. But basically, let's put these side by side so you can read with me. Come here. Come over here. So there. You can kind of look over my shoulder. So all I want to reiterate for all of you, for all of our projects in this class, they're all going to be big. And so they all have the expectation, if it didn't say it before, of a design brief. And the design brief is basically you doing research, you defining the goal of the project. So for example, in the billboard, you all met together, you had parameters in your group project of, they were all spelled out really quickly. Really precisely. Everybody included those. Everybody got full credit for those. That was pretty straightforward. But what you want to do is when you create a design brief, your design brief should look like a professional presentation. So a Google Doc is not adequate. I let it be adequate for the group project design brief because it was kind of a collective thing. But when you create your, thank you. That's like, oh my gosh. So when you create your design briefs, include your research, state the purpose of your project, include any inspiration, images you found by swimming around on the internet, looking at books, being out in the world, snapshots you take, any visual inspiration to help you develop your concepts. Include thumbnail sketches, include type studies. The type studies might be for headline fonts or logo type fonts, or type you want to emulate if you're hand drawing it, or body copy that you want to use. Test them out, start developing the flow of this, and then define, like I said, talk about your concept, talk about who the audience is. So on your billboards, your audience is people driving on highways. So it's the whole world, right? You weren't narrowing your market. The concept had to do with a visual metaphor. So it was a very limited scope of how you're going to approach your design work. And if budget's relevant, that goes into a design brief. And then, of course, all your sketches, rough sketches, refined rough sketches, color palettes that are relevant. Just don't go on Kuler, capture color, go, there's one color palette, two color palettes, three color palettes. That's kind of meaningless. Like I see that sometimes they're not relevant. I understand we may change our color palettes as we do our work, but all of these elements, let me pull this here, all of these elements, all of this process for each assignment right here is the introduction, the research, the brainstorming, the thumbnails, the roughs. Your process is both sketching and your process is also digital. Because you had lots of revisions show up, capture it and show it, okay? In your revisions and your final solution. And then always your final solution in context. The other part is a lot of you add all of these visually to your design briefs, which is terrific. But I want to know what you think about it. Like, why did you get rid of that idea? Or why did you revamp that idea? And the benefit of these design briefs, don't think that I don't know. All right, that's a double negative. That's bad. I do know how time-consuming they are. I know that the design brief can often be as time-consuming as the project itself. Really, I know that. And there's two reasons why I believe in a design brief. One is that I think it shows potential clients how you work. I think it is a kind of a form of a journal for you, how you think creatively. I think it is a place, a container for you to see your own professional development. And I also think it's a chronicle for in the future, a place where you could go back and refer to a project that you found success with, or a concept that maybe you didn't execute, but that might be relevant for something else. So please understand that with all of the projects that we do, the design brief, even though it might not spell it out, is a big component to your work. Okay, so everybody knows that. Okay. That being said, I will put a link to these for you so you have them for the design briefs. I know you've seen them before. And the other thing about the billboard, some of you forgot some of the elements like putting the billboard in context. And the reason I have you do that is that it's done. If you're happy with your billboard, it's done, and now you have a portfolio piece that you don't ever have to revisit. And as you go to your last course on campus here, or if you want to start creating a Behance page for a portfolio, start uploading your work. And if you've also written a design brief and you've created your personal narrative of, for example, the software that you use to create something, or the process from sketching to whatever, your little paragraph, that can go explain the visual on a place like Behance. And companies troll talent on Behance. Did you guys know that? Do you know what Behance is, you guys? Anybody not know Behance? Behance is an Adobe site. Super easy. You can just, let's just do Behance. You can create a Behance account. It's kind of a way to show your portfolio, and they categorize people's works, and you categorize your own works, like if you're an illustrator or a photographer or a graphic artist. And also, if you start uploading to Behance, you can make a website pretty easily. I think it's a press a button deal. If you've uploaded to Behance and you have your description, I think you press the button. I may be making it too easy, but you get the idea. And it fills a portfolio type website. And I just want you to start thinking of your work, particularly because this is really an upper division course. It's really one of the final classes in the program for graphic design. I want you to think in terms of everything being portfolio worthy. And that's really how I look at your work. There's no question that all of you are still learning and trying to gain skills, but what I really want to do, which I know I've said 12 million times, is push you to elevate it. And the reason our projects take so long, and I keep thinking we're done with them because we've been working on them so long, the reason our projects are so long is because I really expect that in the week we're not together, you're really working on them. And I know you have other classes. I know everybody does. So that's kind of my pep talk. And also my own personal frustration that maybe I'm not giving you enough information, and I wish to do better for you. So if there are things that I can do better for you, please tell me. Is that what you were going to tell me? How I could do better?
No, well, I was just going to add to what you said. On design briefs, I think that they actually save you time because they prevent you from going down the rabbit hole by organizing your thinking.
Okay, so are there things that any of you were frustrated with or not clear about in the billboard, for example, the visual metaphor billboard, that I could have helped support you better with, just so I know for the future? No? Is that true? Is that really true? Okay. All right, because I wish I wish for you to be the best you can be, as I wish to be the best I could be for you. So, okay. So then what we will do today is we will go over the event poster. Our website is all wonky because we should be on to our next project, and we're not, because we're going to stick with just the event poster today to get to the final event poster next week. And then we will move on to what appears to be our semester-long project of nonprofit campaigns that are very extensive, where you basically work as an agency to develop concepts and execute complete campaigns, which I think is pretty great. It's kind of like real world. We're gonna play Mad Men in here, so it'll be Mad Men, Mad Women. We'll just be mad. And I don't want to jump ahead. Let's just do event posters, okay? Does anybody have anything to add to? Okay. Well, I appreciate it, and I will always appreciate feedback. So, who wants to just come up and go first and get feedback? Thank you, Garrett. That arm went slowly up. That was beautiful. And then yours went up, Megan, right? I thought I saw that arm. Did it go up? No? Okay. Okay, Garrett, let's event poster progress. There we go. You can find yourself up here.
The cursor's not.
Are you going to have time? Oh, yeah, it's super hard. Oh, you're in my drive. Is that what happened? I have to log out for you.
I can just.
That'd be fabulous. Thank you. I think what I need to do instead of discussions is create assignments that don't get graded so you can upload to that container. Better? Yeah. Yeah, because this has been a little cumbersome for us.
So this is what I had in mind for my event poster. I was making a play poster for a play version of The Exorcist, and I was kind of going for an Art Deco kind of style. You know, like using simple and easy to understand shapes and colors while trying to get the message across. And it actually took a lot longer than I thought it would be in the Mac lab. So yeah, it took a while to.
So did you do this here on campus?
Yeah, because I don't have any of these programs on my laptop. My laptop can't run any of them. It's not an Apple laptop.
You can get Adobe on a PC. Did you know that?
I did not.
I would love for you to be able to do that at home.
Yeah.
You still might have a problem.
Yeah.
Why? You have a different
The laptop may not be able to handle it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. My laptop is kind of old.
You
But
can
yeah.
download a trial version and test it out.
Yeah. Do I have to like pay for those too? Or?
No, not a trial. After the trial.
Oh, okay.
I'd love for you to try to get it on your laptop.
Okay.
It would make your life a lot mellower.
All right. So yeah, and one thing I learned is I took the gradient tool and I actually kind of put it into the poster to make it look like there's light shining above, because there's that scene in the movie in the play where the possessed girl gets lifted into the air off her bed,
Yes.
and I made her look like that, where the darkness right there below, darkness below here, and lights up there, and yeah, I was going for something simplistic yet creepy enough to get horror fans and play fans interested in it.
Do you have, Garrett, an example of the Art Deco posters that inspired you?
Yes, I do.
Now, can you do me a favor? I'm going to have to log out. You're going to go to Google Drive, right?
No, Google Docs.
Yeah, I think I got to log out because I think you're going to keep pulling up mine. And I don't want you to have to do that. So
Or I could just go to my Pinterest page. Like,
that's okay. Let me log out anyway so I don't.
that's
Hopefully not log out of Canvas.
No. I don't think so. I think it just signed me out of that. Okay, let's see how that works for you.
You know, we kind of treat Adobe like Holy Scripture, but in fact, there are other applications available, some of which are in browser that you can do probably 95% of the work you could do in Adobe.
so yeah. Like
Pardon?
I
Oh, I can't think of any names. I don't use them, so. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I'll link some of them in the archive.
Well, like I said last week, I mostly got inspired for this poster for its colors and simplistic viewing, and
Okay.
got inspired by these two for their style and
Yeah.
imagery. And for some reason, I can't click full screen on them.
That's okay. I remember the conversation we had. Okay, so the Art Deco idea was the cat one that inspired you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the rest were inspiration. So you're not necessarily going for an Art Deco style, but the simplicity of it appealed to you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Very helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd love to hear. Okay, so what I really want to consider with everybody's event poster is, and I'm going to stand next to the screen so it's clear. So for your event poster, you have to think about why somebody's going to the event. What's the event about, right? Who's the poster appealing to? So it's going to appeal to people who are interested in The Exorcist. Everybody knows the story of The Exorcist nowadays, right? So who it appeals to, and then now we know who it appeals to. Now we have to decide. A poster, like a billboard, is really a quick glance thing. We talked about that before. And then we step into it, up closer to it, to get the details, the fine print. How do we buy the tickets? Where's the location of the place? Who's underwriting it or sponsoring it? What logos are pertinent to it? Did we include the logos? And who stars in it? You know, this is a performance. What's the name of the performer if you want? These are things to consider, all as part of it. And then that's informational. Then the flip side to it is, let's just name together. Thanks for hanging out here. Have a seat. Get comfy. Let's name together design elements that we will evaluate the posters with. So what are the elements of design that we use when we do posters, when we do any graphics?
Balance.
Okay, so hierarchy. Why'd you give me such hard words to spell? Hierarchy. Okay, balance, what else? Yeah, okay, Mary Kate, what else?
Contrast.
Okay, Julia.
Rhythm,
How do you spell rhythm?
R-H-Y.
Is it RH first?
Yeah.
Oh,
I always get confused.
R-H-Y-T-H-M.
Diarrhea is another hard one.
Thanks, John. Okay, who did I miss? Somebody shouted something else out.
Line.
Line. Okay. What other elements? Okay. Who else said something? We're missing some.
Is visual one?
Is visual what?
Is visual one of them?
Not really. You mean the graphic
Or,
themselves?
yeah, the graphic or whatever.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, the graphics are made up of all those things. They're made up of line, they're made up of color. What else? What else is, so graphic design is two things, really. It's using communication, right? Okay. Color, graphic, and okay. There you go. That's the one I wanted. Okay, type. What other ways do you evaluate your layouts? You've got hierarchy of information. You've got balance. You've got color. You've got contrast. You've got rhythm. You've got use of line. You've got the composition. What other things do you look at besides how type is used? We'll consider readability in that regard. How about positive, negative space, which is balance? So I'll put that under balance.
White space.
So for balance, I'll put a positive, negative here, right? That makes sense to you guys. So white space, who said white space? So that's again balance, positive, negative space. Yeah, Alexa.
Okay. A lot of them fall underneath balance, but using a grid system,
Oh, grid.
Guidelines.
Yes. Grid is a way for us to help structure the page, absolutely. And also the flow of our eye, right? And we forgot another one, which I think is really big that people tend to forget, which is scale. Because scale and proportion, okay. Because I think scale and proportion helps the hierarchy. So I'm glad we have them on the board. I hope you guys can read my orange print in the back there. Can you read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Because it helps us use words when we look at somebody's layout and be able to communicate to them what might help it be more successful using that terminology. So let's keep that in mind as we talk about it, because I think it'll help. So in looking at Garrett here, it's your first time in Illustrator. Was it hard for you?
Well, it's my first time Illustrator because like I haven't used it in since last year, so
Yeah.
it's been a while.
Okay, you're looking good. So, and another component, which I'm not going to get up and write, is perspective, because you created perspective of her being, levitated, right?
Yeah,
So we have an aerial view of her. We're the lamp on the ceiling, looking at her.
Yeah.
So, so given all those elements, let's talk about this composition and this layout and how Garrett can work on it. Yeah.
I would just say you should take off the strokes on some of the shapes. So you can instead add darker colors to add the line so it looks more like the one your inspiration had. You know what I mean?
So make them straighter, or
So
No, he's saying remove the stroke, the outline of, let's say, the woman, the
Yeah.
person in the gown. Just let her be gray in her gown,
so no outlines. on
no
the clothes.
outline.
On
Because
anything?
the Art Deco, if you go back to your cat, was just a yellow shaped cat, right? It was yellow. The black against the yellow. There you go. It was just a shade.
With get rid of the outline on her clothes, how
Yes.
how will people make her out?
Well, she has a gray gown. Will you see it?
Okay, yeah.
And you'll have to make her hands
Different.
some different color, maybe.
Right.
But-
What you could do is find an image of the character in the movie and just eyes off it and just put it on the hand and the face.
Yeah, I could do that.
Who else has got yet, Alexa?
The type, maybe it's really close to the edge. Maybe just bring it in a little bit.
Which type?
The bottom.
Oh.
The body copy.
Yeah, the body.
Yeah.
And then,
So increase the margin.
and I don't know that the hands like the bottom. computer and then the numbers. I always just learned that like it's good to not have this one word on the bottom of the line.
That's right. It's called a widow or an orphan.
Yeah, so maybe just bring your text box in.
Yeah, but then I'll get all hyphens and I don't know how to get rid of that.
You can do it like along the bottom.
So you're saying put all the text along the bottom of the poster.
In the paragraph panel, you can unhyphenate the letters.
Okay. So while we're talking about that, good question. I'm just going to pop my little head in here. I want to launch InDesign. Did you put this together in InDesign?
I put all this together in Illustrator.
All of it in Illustrator.
Yeah.
My recommendation to you, I'd like to suggest that you illustrate in Illustrator
Okay.
and save your illustration in Illustrator and then place all your text and your illustration in
Mhm.
InDesign.
Oh yeah, that I do that whenever I need to turn it in.
Oh, you do? So this is your ref.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's take this.
I have the InDesign version of this on my drive.
Oh, you do?
On
That's
my
great.
on my flash drive.
Okay, so I'm going to demo something. Oh, you do? You have it on your drive. Okay. Never hide your extensions so you know what your software is. And I'm going to make this events. And I'm going to demo this for you and everybody. So, there we go. Who's new to Illustrator? Okay. All right, hopefully this will be helpful. So what I'm going to do is this. This is what I'd like for you to do. Let me zoom out. So I'm going to take your, did you do that in Photoshop?
No, I just used a text box. Like I typed it in. I usually just click the T.
Is it because you just took a screenshot of it?
No. He downloaded his PDF. So let me go on your drive. Can I do that? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Just the Illustrator version, or
Yeah, I want your Illustrator version. Well, or your InDesign version. I don't care.
okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I got my font somewhere else.
Okay, that's okay. Close it. That's okay. Let me go to your InDesign version. You want to find it for me?
Yeah.
So you placed your Illustrator file in InDesign.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're going to go back to Illustrator. So this is what I want you to do. And so that Exercist font that's all gloopy is a font.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to take a screen capture of it from here. Oh my.
I think it's Command-Shift-4.
No, it is, but you're absolutely 100% right. Okay. So I'm going to save this elsewhere. Let's put that not in your event poster, but in my event. There we go. All right. And I'm hoping that this will be helpful for everybody, not just you, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to this is my version, not yours. I'm going to get rid of all your text. I'm going to select your text. I'm going to copy it and keep it in my memory, and delete it. Okay?
Okay.
And then I'm going to get rid of your gradient background, if I can.
It's in Layers.
Look at you. Okay, nice. Okay, so I'm going to select it and I'm going to delete it. All right. And then I'm going to save these as separate elements, and I'll show you why I like to do it this way. The reason I like to do it this way is I get to manipulate things more easily. So I'm using the Magic Wand tool in Photoshop just to get rid of, just so I can start working with your type for you. You're not going to need this. You're not going to need to do this. Because you have the font, I'm just manipulating this. You're not going to do the Photoshop stuff because you have the font. I don't have the font, so I want to just be able to work with the type only. So what I did is I used the Magic Wand tool. That's not new to anybody, right? I use the Magic Wand tool, and I'm just saving this as exorcist type so we can work on it, because I want to talk about some of those design elements back there and save it. So as you start to develop your poster, and what'd you make this, 11 by 17?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to make a new document, and I'm going to make it 11 by 17 and say okay. Oh, did I do it totally wrong? What did I do?
You didn't clear out before you typed 17.
No, you didn't.
I did something. I don't know what I did, but we'll fix it. How's that? So in InDesign, they do have gradients for you, which is not too hard to work with. But if I place your girl right here, I want to, as you place your graphic, your girl, she's 100%. If she's separated from everything, and because she's a vector file, you can, for example, not necessarily, bless you, not necessarily have a very centered layout, right? So you might decide that proportionately, you don't need to show me the whole bed. You might decide that we can show part of the bed and have her bigger and have the bed bleed off the page. And we might decide that when you place the exorcist type, that you don't leave it just evenly spaced. Maybe what you do is you blow it up and let it sit behind her, right, where she overlaps it, and now you're creating relationships between the type and the body, right? And what that does is it's creating, it's connecting us. You know, our eye is going to start at the top, and it's connecting us. And I don't know that I'm right. I'm just trying to show you different. I'm not sure I'm right. Okay. I'm just showing you different ways that you can work with these separate elements. And I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste in place. So I'm going to make it bigger for the word the. Yeah. Get rid of this exorcist, and tighten this up, and maybe let the, sit on top of it, and maybe be a little smaller. And I'm changing the proportion. And maybe what I decide to do is we can't see it, so maybe I add a drop shadow to it. You don't really want to cover the E in exorcist. It doesn't really work, does it?
Mm-hmm.
Not really. But, and then what we can do here is the details of your show. You asked, I don't know how, oh, that did not work. Okay, let me come back to your illustrator. Is that yours? Okay, so copy it. Also, this is a really stylized type that would be good for a headline. It's not a body copy type. Body copy type would be very clean and straightforward, so it's easy to read. So when we set the body copy type here, yes, you do need it to be large, but maybe you decide that it's something like a sans serif, like a Helvetica type. And your question is, I want to get rid of hyphens, and Blair said you can, was it Blair who said you can eliminate them? So you can select your type here. And what I do recommend is State Street would never be abbreviated. It's the name of the street. So you want to spell it out. You don't need to abbreviate California because you're not short on real estate. You don't have to do that.
Okay.
So don't abbreviate things. That doesn't work. The power of price compels you. You were really smart before because you made it a headline. So it doesn't need to be in with the details. So maybe it's here. And maybe you don't put it on one straight line like you had yours, which is here, or centered. Maybe what you start to do is consider working with your type in without a typeface that competes with the words exorcist, and consider using a soft return, which breaks your line of type, and maybe the word power is bigger, and maybe Christ and power are both bigger. Maybe they're luminous and bold, and 60 points, and you can always eyedrop it too. So if I highlight the word Christ here, I can eyedrop the word power and pick up the type attributes. Are you guys familiar with that one? No, look at that mouth. That's like, oh, that's because you didn't take me for 111. It's the first thing I show you, like week 2 and 111. Do you guys remember that? Did anybody else know that? Ben remembers that. Yeah, but it's fast. It's a fast way to do this. And maybe I put a hard return here so I can tighten up the word power and not use auto letting ever, and make it very tight here and let go. Let's have we ran out of space here. I don't like when you make things little on the same line. And then we can hit a return, and we can eyedrop this for power. And return. And then decide how you want to jiggle this stuff around. So let's make this all 40-point letting, I think is what I had. So it's tight, and if I think it's too tight, now I can go line by line because I have a return and add a little space and kind of eyeball it so our type nests. And maybe we want the name Christ to go there, over here, and the word compels go further down, and then you to align with Christ. And I don't know that I'm right, Garrett.
I don't know. To be honest, it just looks a little weird when it's all over the place.
Okay, well that's really a good feedback. So let's not put it all over the place.
Yeah, because I don't know.
You like it centered.
Yeah, because I don't know why, but for some reason it just really bothers me right now. Just the whole, it's like the letting. It's not centered. They're too close together, and it's kind of hard to read.
Okay.
It's like.
So you like it really, really clean.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a personal preference.
Well, absolutely, it's a personal preference. I am with you. So what if we make this all much smaller, and we take your paragraph of body copy here, down here. Does that feel better? You don't like it jiggled around? Well, the reason, okay, so we won't jiggle it around. But what I want to show you is type doesn't always have to be centered and it doesn't always have to be on a line. I understand it might not be your preference for this, but here, so we'll get rid of that
Okay.
because you don't like it. Or we'll just move it to the side so we can use it for something else one day. And you can use soft returns to break your information right here, or hard returns. You should use the Granada Theater logo, okay? You should break Santa Barbara with State Street, and you should probably add more space for tickets at the door. Like I would start to work with this type. And then I would also go on the internet and I would find Granada Theater logo. And I would look at it in images. And I would grab the Granada Theater. This is the one we have here. But they also use the G. But you can grab the logo and save it, save image as, and put it in your events, and save it, and open it in Photoshop. Don't save it as a PNG. Open it in Photoshop, make it a CMYK logo, and save it as a PSD file. And make sure it's the correct resolution. We already talked about resolution, so I'm not going to revisit that with everybody. But remember, now in your poster, here, you can place where your logo, you can place, Command D, the Granada logo here, right? And you start to build, you know, you're going to want this tighter and stuff like that, but I'm not going to refine it all. But you need to incorporate your logo. You need to incorporate, I know you have $20 tickets at the door. Can they order them on Ticketmaster? What's the website for the Granada Theater? Who can they call for more information? All those things that would be on a poster. But the only other reason I showed you this is now you can take this one, you can duplicate it in InDesign by holding your Option key down and duplicating the page. And you like your centered layout, no problem. We can do it like that. We can also go to the layout. We can go to margins and columns. Let me hit cancel so you can see the margins and columns. And you can create. Wow, it's exciting, John. And you can create a grid. So maybe we have a 4-column grid. There. And now you can take your type that you want to sit in alignment and create a 4-column grid. And you can take the power of Christ compels you, right? And you can run it across 2 of those columns or 3 of those columns. The grid will help give you alignment, and you can apply, you know, you prefer that look, right? You don't like things off the page. You like your original, you like that.
Yeah.
Right, but
I mostly did that so the bed would be a bit more visible, because
you want the bed more visible?
no, well, in my original design, because I used a gradient,
Right.
but since you told me not to use it, so.
No, I didn't tell you not to use it at all.
Okay.
I just
Oh.
took parts away so you can add them in later and play with them. So right now, we can create a gradient right here in InDesign. Here's our, let me take this page. I didn't tell you at all not to do it. I just broke things apart. I'm creating it again. I'm going to create a box here. I'm going to send that box to the background. Object arrange, send to back. And I'm going to fill it with a gradient. And here's our gradient we can fill it with. And we can change the gradient to radial. So we could decide that the beam of light is below her and above her, maybe.
Yeah.
We can change it to linear. We can add, where's our gradient? Window. color gradients. There we go. We can add red to our gradient. We could, you see what I'm saying? You have more flexibility. Now we can undo it like that. Now we can take an option key, make another page, go to page 4, take our gradient, and add red to the gradient here, and pull away the black, and change the angle of the gradient by 90 degrees. And now you have 4 variations as your process to decide what you like. And you can manipulate them because you have all these separate components, not just one Illustrator file.
Okay.
That's why I broke it all apart for you.
Okay.
Instead of just building one poster in Illustrator, now on this one you can even do this. You can create another layer on top. We did this here in class before. Fill. I never know if I do it the right way.
Yeah, when I do it that way, it's kind of tricky too.
Yeah, I know. Really.
Like confusing.
Yes, thank you for appreciating that with me. And you can multiply that. So you can decide what opacity you want this transparent black. I lost it. Go back. Transparency. Gradient feather. And I can alter it. And now you just have more ways to start manipulating your work, because you've now got 4 or 5 posters out of the same pieces, just scaling them differently and moving them.
Okay.
And trying different color palettes. That's what I was trying to show you.
Oh, okay.
Does that help you?
Yeah.
A lot? And we captured it on video.
Yeah.
What, you guys, so sorry, I lost probably all of you. Do you have, no? Did anybody learn anything with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I was just telling her I'd probably make like 4 different documents. I didn't see that.
You would make 4 different documents if you didn't see that.
Legit would have done that. If I didn't see that.
I will tell you in all truthfulness, thank you for saying it. That's why I'm trying to get more hands-on just to help you guys a little. I tend to make all my pieces in Photoshop and Illustrator, and then I bring them all into InDesign. All my copies in InDesign, unless I'm doing something weird with the type, unless I were creating that drippy exorcist type and not using a font. So that's how I do things, only so I can start, I don't have to start from scratch again. And Illustrator, I think, is really clunky with type. Yeah.
Oh, if you want to make separate documents, you can use artboards to an Illustrator. It's like the same thing.
Yes.
You have it all in one.
Yes, you can. The only problem is with that is it doesn't have as strong of. So yes, you can for all your illustrations. Like you can make a new artboard. So if you're an Illustrator, here, and right here there's an artboard layer, I can add a new artboard, and it just keeps duplicating artboards, which is like so magic, right? And it's basically like making pages in Illustrator. And then when you place it in InDesign, you will choose what page of Illustrator you will place. Okay. Is there anything else in this, just in this demo, that anybody wants me to address? Yeah.
I just had a question about the size of the poster. So I know it's 7 by 11.
11 by 17, because you can print 11 by 17 at 100% scale here, but you'll lose something with bleeds, so it'll be a little smaller because you got to create bleeds. But on the other hand, I would love for you all, since you all are familiar with tiling. Is everybody familiar with tiling? If you created a poster that was
Like one of those sizes.
exactly, if you created a poster that was really big, why do I have a mom poster? Yeah. I think that's it. Okay, so this poster, if you go to document setup, this poster is 24 inches, 2 feet by 3 feet, like that Museo slab black poster there. Okay, and to print that poster, it's been exported as a PDF. So to open that poster as a PDF, right here, okay, this is the 2 foot by 3 foot poster. When you go to print, you don't go to fit, which is what you do on all these printers on campus, right? You go to poster. Then it says, poster. See how it chops it all up? It says that's what it's going to do with a letter size page. And you say, no, I don't want to print with a letter size page. I want to print with a tabloid page. And it's no, it's not letter. Yes, I'm going to print with a tabloid page. And say, okay. And notice it went from 16 pieces of paper to stick together to 8. You know, you could make a poster that's 22 by 34, and that would be 4 11 by 17 pages printed. And tiling, the only thing you need to know about tiling is it's fabulous. You print it at 100% scale. You select poster when you print. You make sure you've specified the right size of paper. And then what you want to do is you want to create like a 1/4 of an inch overlap of each poster. So when they print, they overlap each other. So when you trim them, they look seamless. And you tape them together. So you could make a bigger poster, which I would love for you all to do, if you wish. Okay? 11 by 17 would be the minimum. Okay? Let's see. Anything else come up with this? What I showed you? Yeah.
Well, this is kind of unrelated, but you know how you had said that we're supposed to use our own artwork and
Yes.
photos? What is the rule for fonts? Because if they're like I looked at some of those
Yeah.
cases where they're like stylized, or if it's like the name focus.
Well, there's no rule. So for fonts, when you buy Adobe, do you want to answer this, John? You're like the font man.
Well, the font designs can't be copyrighted. What's copyrighted is the software that renders the fonts on your screen. So if you, for instance, used a licensed font here at school and then converted it to outlines, that would be perfectly legal.
Okay.
But if you stole the font, like from a package, that would be
Yeah.
illegal.
Well, so font usage is basically this. With your Adobe software, you have the rights to use it. You're paying to use them. There you are. From DaFont, they're a free game. All right, all those free font sites are free game. You can purchase fonts. And so, for example, I will have purchased fonts, but I share them with my printer because I need the font to print stuff. I share them with my client who I bought them for because that's who I bought them for. But you can't share them with your friends just because they will hunt you down and knock on your door at 3 a.m. You know, I don't think we're the issue. You know what I mean? But yeah, there are fonts that need to be purchased in order to have the rights to use them. Yeah.
So let's say you make a poster and you make it smaller than you intend to print it. Let's say you change that in document setup.
Yeah.
Does that just change the box you're looking at? Or does it
Well, so that's
stay
such a good question. Let's just look. So, I don't think I ever saved these. Save as Garrett. Okay. 2 T's.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, we're putting it in there. Okay, so this is an 11 by 17 poster. If I go, let's just go to page 1. Let's go to the red page since it's easy to see, right? And let's reset type setup there. Clean this up. If I go here to the document setup that was set up as 11 by 17, and I now want this to be, what did I say, 4 times the size, 22 by 34, this is what happens. Now, it's too small. But I would, first off, I would create vector graphics because those are scalable. If I created something in Photoshop, you need to know the size because you cannot scale it. It's like stretching chewing gum. My silly putty analogy, when you put, everybody knows silly putty. You put silly putty down on a comic and then you pull it off and everybody looks great until you go like this and they all get, all right. So that's why Photoshop's tough. So here, I'm going to group all this and I'm going to hold, because I don't know how else to do this, my Command Option Shift key and proportionally scale this because I'm lazy. No, that didn't work. Let's try it again. Let's select all. Let's deselect that, because you don't want that. Let's group it. That will work. Now, because the font's a font, it's not going to be a problem. Because the vector's a vector, it scales perfectly. Because type scales perfectly, that will work too. The Granada logo, which was probably low resolution, will be terrible. Gradient's not a problem. It's still an InDesign. And now you can start to kind of move things around, right? Let's set that back. And now you can start to move things around and reset your type how you want and so forth. So that's how you can do it. That get you there?
Yeah.
Anything else with this? Oh, no.
I have an unrelated question.
Okay.
Where do we find logos? I couldn't find a logo for the Arlington.
Yeah, so where do you find them? There's no special way you're going to steal it. Arlington Theater, Santa Barbara. Let's type logo. See what we get. Maybe they don't have one. Okay, so they don't have one. So you might want to do. Are they part of the? It's the Metropolitan Theater.
Yeah.
Okay, there you
You
go.
might want to get the typeface that they
Yeah,
use.
because they do have a little thing, like a little special font.
Well, so when I run into this stuff all the time. So probably the shield and the A I would consider like their logo. You see that right above the theater? You can just go kind of dive for that and try it. You can try and emulate the Arlington font that's in neon. Or if it's appropriate for your poster, you might steal the neon itself and use that as part of the art that goes in your poster. That means, and you're stealing it. Let me just be clear. Like if the Arlington were hiring you or you were doing this, you would call them up and say, what's the logo type I should be using? But that's the best I can help you with for that. Yeah. Do you know someone, Cassie? No? Who did over there? Nobody? Okay. Anything else? All right. Was that helpful for you, Mr. Garrett?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got some ideas.
Yeah, and now you can see the advantage of separating out each element of your artwork so you can scale it.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you can move it around. Okay, thank you. Good start. All right, so let's eject your drive. Yes, this is you right there.
Yeah, I won't eject unless my current file is open.
Oh, all right. I'll leave you to clean it up. How's that? You know what you want.
It's weird like that.
Yes, that's true. Well, so who is going to go? Okay, you do. Why not? You can clear it. So was that useful? That demo-y stuff? Did I go too fast? Should I slow it down? We'll be here forever if I slow it down. We'll have to sleep. Yeah, and slow. Okay.
Just aiming for it to disappear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Garrett.
You're welcome.
It's not polite. Legally, you don't want to get mail. It's not even
Yeah.
about politeness. We're not stealing. So you'd have to ask for the rights because there's a designer like you who designed the album cover who has the rights to it.
Oh, I like what you did.
So,
Told you guys there'd
so
be a
you
sheep
have to
next
ask
time.
permission.
Is that a brush?
For your student project that you
No,
got.
it's a sheet.
It's a
permission
picture.
Oh, I thought that was
Oh,
like a
wait.
brush. Okay.
No, yeah, it's a picture, and then there's like overlays. So I'm still playing with the whole sheep idea. It
Yeah.
kind of threw me for a loop, to be honest.
Did it?
Yeah, I didn't have time to put all of my other stuff, but I made like a tiny vector sheet, but it was too simple. I didn't like it. I wanted the texture of the wool, kind of like we were talking about. So since then, I've kind of been more working with like the informational stuff. There's going to be a lot of it, I think. So
Yes.
I've been kind of playing with that, and then the idea of this like textured, intensely just insane background of the wool from the black sheep.
That
itself.
looks like my dog's hair.
Oh,
I know. It does.
So this is what I'm working on
So is this the one you're with right now?
currently. I'm open to change. I'm not super sold on it.
You're not too thrilled?
Not too sold. I definitely want to play with the type more. I don't like the Black Sheep's Night type. I want to play with the scale of it, definitely, I think. And I like the pink in it, but I'm not sure how I want to incorporate it necessarily. It doesn't look.
Does it have that gray border or you just set it up that way?
It's just a screen cap from
Oh,
InDesign. So it's like in the preview mode.
Yeah. So who's got some feedback for Megan then?
So did you just take a picture of regular fur or wool and just eye drop it in Photoshop and use the eye drop tool and paint it black and purple?
What I did was I found a picture actually of like dark gray wool, and then I made a huge black like color box basically over the whole thing, so it's black, and then I placed the photo over it at like 50% opacity so that the black kind of showed through more and it still kept the texture of it, and then I added the pink overlay on top of that at the very end of it. But
And you put the pink in there you were into pink and black. That was.
I want to get the pink in there somewhere.
So will you go back to your previous one?
I didn't have any previous ones. I just had these like thumbnails.
Oh, you were just into the pink and black.
And I'm into these colors. Changed my life. They're just so aggressive.
That's true.
How do you just don't see like intense pink and black like that?
Okay, so go back. So what would happen if you took the black? Okay, so who's got feedback for her? I don't want to start talking. You like it?
No, I mean, just quite a few issues that the black sheep maybe you could like incorporate the pink color in some of the type.
That's what I was thinking, but
because like it's kind of just sitting there in the corner, like the color.
yeah, my thing is I really want to keep that dark, intense texture, but then it's not readable with the pink.
You can leave the color that little bar there, but like just kind of like maybe like make black sheeps the same color and the rest be white or something like that. Like
Mhm.
this is that like the balance of color, I guess.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to.
No, no. Dive on in there.
You said you wanted to play around with your type. Maybe you can put a black shoes night enlarge it and kind of overlap the pink line.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't look so straight and neat, but I think it's a variation.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to play with the scale of it for sure, because they all just kind of look the same. It's not very interesting.
Maybe for the title type, Black Sheep's Night, maybe you can make it a bit more interesting. So it just for like a concert, like look at that title, it just looks kind of bland.
Yeah.
To me. Like maybe I don't know if we could like find a font or alter it somehow in Photoshop, like to make it a bit more exciting, like kind of a attention grabber. Like that'd be kind of cool.
More of like a logo type almost.
Almost like a logo.
could also play with how you organize Black Sheep's Night. So
Yeah.
around like the top center area.
Yeah,
You know.
definitely.
It would be cool to do like Black Sheeps on a month because it's like Black Sheeps. Is it like a monthly night? I think, yeah, it might be cool to like maybe emphasize Black Sheeps on like the same night or something.
What size is the layout you're working with? Is that 11 by 17 or are you
Yeah.
doing a bigger one?
It's 11 by 17.
Yeah, I like how big the header is. Yes, yeah, it's not a super big one. So like that text below Black Sheep's Night would be enormous on if it was like a full size poster.
Mhm.
I was just gonna say you could make that even smaller and then decrease the lettering between the main title and just make it like focus.
Mhm.
And if people want to read more about it, they can just click it.
Just like the attention grabber.
More thoughts? Oh yeah, I'm gonna start with your type. Well, you're having fun with your type, aren't you?
I'm trying.
So, Black Sheep's Night is really your concept. You want to create an identity around it. And every month, your bands change.
Mhm.
And it's always at Velvet Jones, and it's always on Friday.
Mhm.
So, I want Velvet Jones address to be by Velvet Jones. I don't need October 27th. I need to know that it is October 27th through May 27th, the last Friday of every month. So I know that it's
A monthly thing.
a monthly thing. Maybe. I'm thinking about that. Because you still need a new poster every month. Right? Because this month you have so-and-so.
Mhm.
Or you might just have a calendar. Instead of this month, blah, 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 you might make one poster. Because if I had a client asking me to do this, they would not want to make a monthly poster.
Mhm.
They would want me to know their calendar from every quarter.
Mhm.
So I would list the Fridays in October, the Fridays in November, the Fridays in December, and then start by 2018. And then I really, do I sneeze? Bless you. And then I keep looking at big, beefy type, which you don't see on so long, but I keep thinking, make it bigger, make it beefier, and fill it with sheep's fur, and then have a really clean background.
I tried.
You did, and how'd that look?
I didn't
Was it furry edge? Is that why you didn't like it? Or it didn't
No.
show?
It just, it was like, I didn't like the readability of it, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah. Because there was like all the texture of the wool kind of
And so it wasn't readable.
Yeah. But I could play with that more, but also, and then I was kind of lost what to do with the background at that point then too, because it was
Well, it could be your lovely screaming neon pink.
That's true.
And then the other thing is I look at that straight line and I think that is so sedate, your pink and your black, and you want it screaming pink, and that's not screaming pink. I mean, I don't know what there's on your screen, but it's not pink to me. It's purpley and muted.
Yeah, it's definitely muted, but it is a little.
Yeah. And then I think, oh, what if we were to, mostly all I think of is a sheep, and I think of the foot, the hoof, they have hoofs. Right? And all I think of is like, fill up 3/4 of the page with fur and the hoof, so we just feel the chest, the furry chest, and the leg. So it would be like this, and then a foot, which would take our eye down to the logo, and you'd have this negative space where you could fill the band, and on the fur you've got Black Sheep's Night. so the content is smaller and you change proportions and it's, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just thinking that it's a static layout for something that you want to be
Not static.
not static,
Yeah.
right? Because it's music. It's static. It's so I might try that. I might try things that feel really irreverent. You know, and maybe your black sheeps. I mean, I don't know what your black sheeps. Or you could just create a silhouette of a sheep somewhere, like a little white reverse icon next to black sheeps, or a black sheep next to the word black sheep. You know, I just create more irreverence to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sedate.
I agree.
I don't think that's what you were trying to achieve.
I don't think so either.
Right.
I think I'm still feeling my way through it, to be honest.
And posterize, you know, you might play with posterizing that wool in
That's what I was
Photoshop.
thinking, or just some kind of texture over it.
Yeah, because when you posterize it, you can get that screamy, shocking pink, like neon crazy. And there's also fluorescent inks in InDesign. Like if you are in InDesign, if you want to open up InDesign, and you go to swatches, and you go to pull out a new color swatch up the top. Yeah. Oh, that was probably fine too. Yeah. New color swatch. And then go to CMYK, yeah, and then see, there should be something for fluorescence. No. But there's a fluorescent ink book. I'd have to look it up because I thought it would show up there, but there are fluorescent inks. Seriously.
That's scary.
Yes, it is scary, but they were super duper fun. When they used to do posters of Ferraris and stuff, they used to underprint them with red and fluorescent orange and another red because they wanted it to look so flaming fire engine-y. They'd put like 4 reds down for a Ferrari poster. Yeah, this is nice. Okay, does that help you? Is that good? Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, now you want to come on up. Okay. You guys doing okay? You don't need a break? You're just hanging. You guys good?
For some reason, you can't just click on this here. Copy paste. A little weird. Oh, I didn't make it public. I don't think. Let me see. Yes. Okay. It's not done yet, obviously, but this is kind of what I'm working with.
So tell us what you're trying to achieve.
I'm trying to make it. So,
It's stuck that size.
Yeah,
because
for some
it's
reason.
In,
There we go. That's better. Okay. I'm having a lot of fun with this poster. So, I plan on throwing all the sponsors right down here, and then the logo and all that of the Granada, and just a little more info on the sides there. So, yeah, I'm. I get all jittery when I think about this poster. This is one of my favorite projects. So
That's good. We're glad.
kind of speaks for itself.
So who's got some thoughts here?
Oh, like Optimum Nutrition, like supplement companies, like local gyms in town, stuff like that. You already have all the logos downloaded and everything.
How did you end up with the silhouette for last class?
So, this was actually trickier because it was a photo and there was a whole background that wasn't black. So I kind of just drew over the background as close as I can to like the actual edge, and I did the threshold, I think it was, and then
Yeah.
I kind of just did the magic wand from there. Just kind of took like the white spots out and all that, and
I eventually got the figure and I just made it all black. Yeah.
Is that Photoshop or is that Illustrator?
That is, well, because I did the thing where you make it into a work
Yeah.
path and I put it into,
Illustrator.
yeah.
Good.
Uh-huh.
Good. So scalable.
Right.
I like this one.
That's probably one of my favorite parts about this whole thing.
I really like the yellow parts.
Mhm. It's actually a gradient. It's a gradient fill, yeah. It's a radial gradient.
And the only is I can't hide even though what you do first. I mean, like, I can tell you everything, but I don't know, like, everything is all like, I'm sorry. I don't know. It just says the type is like, you can tell there's like a left, a right, bottom, left, right, bottom. You can just combine some things together. And some people are trying to look at it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like you, so like in other words, like maybe like maybe like this stuff up here or something, or like this
Yeah, or even
on the
if you
side.
move the guy over to the right or to the left, and then have one
Right.
look at it.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I like the type on the left side of him and like the type on the right side.
Oh no, it's not done. Like
Yeah.
that's what I have on there right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Are you planning to put type on both sides? Because it looks
Yeah,
like a
I
magazine
will.
cover.
Mhm.
And you're sticking with this color palette?
I might experiment with like blues, but the red was kind of, I think it's more powerful because like it kind of fits with the whole bodybuilder powered like atmosphere. I would say, you know.
Or that? So doors open, show start should be near the date.
Hmm.
Do you notice how he creates, he helps our eye travel, like Alexa said, because SoCal Classic is, our eye follows down the shape of the figure. And you overlap 2017 with his body. I'm wondering if his body overlaps the 2017. So put him in front.
Oh,
Because
okay.
He's the star.
Because that's how it was originally.
I wonder if that, I don't know, I wonder if that would look good.
I'll play with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if you shifted him a hair. So maybe he's only in front of the 7. Perhaps just I'd play with it a little bit.
Hmm.
Not. I like
It's kind of hard to see, but the background is actually another gradient.
I can totally see it. It's beautiful. You have drop shadows, you have gradients in your type. Like we're all aglow. We're all shimmering like all their greasy bodies, right?
Mhm.
It's like it's great. And it's very strong. I don't want his type in his crotch.
Okay.
I want to see the whole silhouette,
Uh-huh.
truthfully, because it's I don't think your box is totally open. His right arm cut off a little.
Which one?
Right where the word show is, that's a straight line. Is that supposed to be a straight line?
Oh,
I guess
that's
it
just
is.
how like the thing rendered, but I can kind of like smooth it out a little bit.
I think so. On both sides. I think you have a couple straight lines going on
Mhm.
and it's not working. And maybe it's the photo you saw, his arm wasn't fully showing.
Oh no, everything was in there. Yeah.
And I would work it more because on both sides I feel like it on both sides
Right.
I feel like it's straight. And then like I don't care if you don't show as much leg, but I'm not sure that I want Sunday, November 7th at the Granada Theater. I mean, that's fine proportionately, the type and the excitement, but I'm not sure that's where I'd put it, truthfully. And maybe it just means you have less body, I don't know. Or maybe he moves up higher and that has more space, or maybe it goes on one side or the other.
Like my thought process was it because I wanted to make the most important things the bigger things. So
Yeah.
next thing would be like the venue would be what I'd make bigger and like the date and all that. So
I think when you bring that beautiful burgundy red, yellow Granada logo on this poster, it's going to be crazy because it's going to match.
Mhm.
It's going to look great. And then you don't need at the Granada Theater, you just need Sunday, November spelled out 7. I'm a big one for spelling things out. It's a pet peeve of mine personally. And then you just need the Granada Theater below it.
Mhm.
You don't need at the Granada Theater. Say the Granada, have the logo.
Mhm.
Santa Barbara, you put Santa Barbara. So you're not telling me their type, so I'm not going to comment.
yeah, it's I'm just still working with it.
That's great. That's great. And then what I do is I would try it with a bunch of different color palettes.
Mhm.
And I would also try it by shifting him over a little.
Yeah,
Having type only
I
on
definitely
one
thought
side of
about
your
that. I
page.
did. Mhm.
I don't like, this is what Alexa was saying. All of your type is the same size and it takes up the same real estate. We've talked about this before in other projects, I think, as I'm mixing up my classes. But I think we just want all the information to be delivered to
Mhm.
us. And we're bouncing back and forth because all of the type takes up this much space, this much space, this much space. You know, right? If you
Right.
start to look at it, it does. So see what you think. All right, that's great. Who'd like to go next? I'm not going to drag you out of your seats, you guys. But it's that face that says, yeah, you go. Yeah.
I haven't gotten many of them critiqued.
What's that?
I haven't gotten many projects critiqued. Let's see. There we go.
Yeah,
Loaded
try
it.
refreshing. Is that where you loaded it?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Maybe at the bottom. Oh yeah. I don't. I haven't done any digital work yet, but
What's that?
So those are so cool.
Right. I know.
how do you full screen? Or can you see it? Is that
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Good.
good. Yeah. So yeah, I just took a bunch of different elements from Motown, just art on like records and then like, popular faces. I don't have a lot of the information that like I guess I didn't look at the requirements because everyone else had a lot more information than I do. I just have like kind of the date and stuff, but I don't know. That's kind of my problem. I like more imagery and less type. Except the middle one, I really like how it kind of. I like those. I've always been super interested in the kind of like typography blocks where there's tons of different typefaces, you know.
Yeah.
So I tried to do something like that, and then added the record and the microphone. And the one on the so that one, it's just the main guy which I'm trying to make him darker so he stands out because it's about him. He's the founder of Motown, Berry Gordy. So I'm going to make him probably bigger when I put it into Illustrator, and darker, and then have them kind of in the record or out. I don't know. I'm still working with everything, but, and then that's him older. I don't know. They're all kind of, I think the middle one, the only thing I like really about it is the type block, because it doesn't really say anything besides the type at the bottom. Doesn't really say anything about like the story necessarily. These ones you can kind of see, like the one on the right, you can see that he's, even if you don't know about Motown or Berry Gordy, he's in music, and you know, he's older there, so he's probably, they're making something about him. That one is kind of obvious. I haven't really picked any typefaces really, but I will at some point. Yeah, but I mean, I just drew those things.
Seriously?
Actually, no. This one, that one, like the simple ones I drew. That one over there was typeface.
Yeah.
The M is the Motown M.
Yeah.
All of the kind of just sans serif stuff, I just drew that. And then like Granada Theater and the type block, kind of just do that one. And yeah, besides the Motown M, I just do this. Yeah.
You should look at everybody's face.
I know it takes me it takes me a long time to do my roughs, and then I'm like, oh, I have to get everything done. It's brutal.
They're elaborate. They're beautiful. This is how everybody's rushed to look. That would take me a million years to draw roughs like that. So who's got thoughts? I think Alex is.
I was gonna say you could use any of these. Like if I saw any of those, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to this.
Would you?
Yeah. Like just not because like the drawings are good, but like if I saw something that looked like that and on a poster, I'd just be like, this looks really cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I got pretty excited about the whole Motown thing. I didn't know what I was going to do at first. Like, I had an idea in my head, like a poster. I had this idea of like a girl. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had an idea of like a moon with a girl like hanging off the moon. So I was looking for something that fit that description, and then I just found Motown at Granada, and I was like, all right, I can draw stuff like that for sure.
So, are you gonna like scan one of those roughs and then like upload them to either InDesign or Photoshop and just add your own little digital details to it, or do you plan to go into Illustrator and Photoshop and just recreate the whole thing from scratch?
I mean, not from scratch, no. But that's kind of why I like doing roughs, like really detailed, because you can just put them in Illustrator and lock the layer and then create the illustration over it. It just makes it way easier instead of just going and making shapes in Illustrator. You know, sometimes that's easier, but you already know what you're drawing. But yeah, no, because especially in the one with the piano, like the big shapes are going to be filled with color, and then I have kind of like this idea of, I don't really know how to explain it. Like there's like images like him coming through some of the shapes, and like cut, and not really all just color on top of color, like cutouts. I don't know really what that's.
I know what
I'm
you're saying.
blanking on the word right now. It's like
You
a
wanna-
mask. I'm gonna mask some of the letters instead of. Yeah, I don't know. I can see it in my head, kind of.
So you want to take your illustration and you want to break it up into shape. So the illustration is as we see it, but it gets broken up by circles and different transparent colors and so forth. So it kind of breaks it up and forms a whole.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, the whole Motown, there's just a lot of super bright colors in all that art. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it all look like that.
Vibrant.
Yeah, super
Okay.
vibrant.
Super vibrant.
Yeah, but then a lot of black too. Like I was thinking, the background's really dark so that the colors stand out a lot.
So, well, so we have more hands come up. You did? You know where I'd start with this? Well, first off, I'm looking at the type of the two, the left one and the center one, which feels like type that's more of the Motown era, the faces you're emulating there.
Mhm.
Just thinking out loud. I know you got the Motown logo going on the right, but I think the two left ones might be more retro.
On the right.
I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Two left ones are more retro.
Those ones?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Motown logo is the M.
Yeah.
And that says that has the.
And then the other thing I would do to choose which one to start with anyway is I would think about two things. I would think about what skills you want to learn and apply. And that's what I would do. I think about what skills you want to learn and apply and what thrills you the most. Doing people as a vector is really hard.
Yeah, that gradient mesh thing is pretty cool. So.
I know. Did you look at it more?
Not yet, but
Yeah, it's
that's
pretty exciting.
I mean, I really like the one on the left.
Okay.
So I'm probably gonna.
Okay.
I just like the way they're lined up, kind of.
I like this record background. It's great. Kind of got everything on it. Well, it's great.
With the text. Oh, yeah.
What were you going to say? I cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I like that one the best for sure, but I just like the text block thing in the middle one. So I think, I told you, I think I'm just gonna do all of them. Probably.
Yeah, I think you should. It's great. We'll get started with one. So when you come back next week, you got one nail.
All right.
All right?
Mhm.
Okay. Who else wants feedback? Use the feedback for help or if you need guidance on how to execute something. So step on up, you guys. You got 1 hour left to the class. Okay, come on up.
Okay. Okay, so how do you make it like full size? I drag it down.
Oh, full screen.
Full screen.
Never do full screen.
Or how do I?
Blair?
How did I do
You
it?
do full screen. I don't do full screen.
Oh, go to the little the three dots at the Chrome toolbar and just do that.
That?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, is that what you want to do? Oh, I thought you wanted.
Well,
to
I just wanted to, because it was so
You
big.
want to show it off.
Yeah. So I did that. I watched that video with the lemon.
Did you?
Yeah, and
Did
so
you like it?
Yeah.
You did.
it was really cool. Yeah. I like got really stuck on it though, so I think I kind of wasted a lot of time like using images that I
Uh-huh.
didn't do. But yeah, this was the first one that I
so do you
tried.
feel more skilled in? You do.
Yeah, it was
Good.
really cool.
I'm happy to hear that.
Um,
And you
Yeah.
found Arlington Theater Type.
I snipped that. Well, it's a screenshot on Mac, but it's really gross if you zoom in though, because it's all like
I
it's not
understand.
clear. Yeah.
Yes, John.
You can use a type finder to find out what the font is, because it's probably a commercial font, and get it.
You can also
I'll link a couple of those.
you can also even try Tinite. Interesting in that.
The
See?
fonts?
No, but it's a picture, so maybe it comes at a higher resolution somewhere. If you're stealing it. No, yes, you're right for fonts, but it may be a hand. It might not be a. It might be a hand lettered, hand created font.
I don't think it is. I bet on it.
So, so where do you need help?
I got really stuck on like fonts and I don't know. I just got so stuck.
So, are you happy with your graphic?
Yeah, I mean, I made a couple others that like I really don't
Okay, so you're happy with your graphic. Yeah. Okay, are you happy with your color palette?
No.
Why not?
No. I don't like how the background was white.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll probably play with that more, but I needed more help with like the type.
Have you got thoughts?
You're gonna fill in the crystal ball, right?
With what?
Is that a crystal ball?
Yeah.
That big circle?
Mhm.
You could make the background like a similar color to the crystal ball or something.
That's fine.
You know, make it like a magic-y kind of color, you know, like a purple or something like that.
The psychic had H on the end, like for a reason.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that was me.
I love your illustration. I love the hands too. It's cute. You can even do like just an image of your hand with the ball and have words in there.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But I'm still like the illustration.
Yeah, I can put like 5 in the magic ball.
So you found a photo similar to this?
Yeah. I really liked that video. Like, I had no idea you could do any of that, so it was really
So
helpful.
glad you liked it. I taught that in the video design class. It was just a little quickie exercise, but it gets you there fast.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else got thoughts? No? Okay. So, I don't know. Are those stars? It's not in the Madame Mystique. Those aren't stars,
No.
those are just blocks.
Yeah.
I forget the name of that font. I own that font. It's a beautiful font. Wouldn't it be fun if they were stars and not
It would
blocks?
be really cool.
Okay, so
Stars.
convert it to outline.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to draw stars really easily.
Yeah,
And
no, let's do that.
that'd be fun. Spell check.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put psychic medium up there.
Okay.
I make her name go wider, broader.
Okay.
I don't mind giving that land. I think your illustration's crazy great. It's very stylized and very Art Deco-y, and then you picked a font that is era specific for it, so I think you did great for that. I don't really want the black band at the bottom, but I understand.
Yeah, it was like matching.
Well, I understand it's matching, and I understand it gives a platform for the ball to sit on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's. But maybe what I'd probably do is consider not making it black. Maybe making that deeper gray. And you said that you're not happy with it, and I think you have a vision, unless I'm like channeling something. But but I think that your color palette you wanted was deep royal purple, blue, darks, kind of that mysterious midnight sky color.
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
Yeah.
So what I might suggest is that you take those bands of white and make it exactly what I just said. Go find a midnight sky color and don't leave them as white. Let them be the dark colors. And I understand that all of us, including me, think that putting stuff in the crystal ball would be super cool. But I actually don't want you to do it a bit, because I think what's super cool is it draws me right to the mystery of what's in there for me. It's like the big unknown to me. So I don't want you to fill it with anything, because I think it's going to clutter it. I think it's like a rest for the eyes. That's what I think. Yeah, I probably would get rid of the black band at the bottom. Probably make the whites. Try them all those mysterious colors you want. Just keep playing with your colors till you find that mystery you want. And even the tarot cards themselves might be that dark, deep color instead of white.
Mm-hmm.
So really the only thing that is white is the ball. And maybe the ball becomes creamy.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah,
white,
because it is like
creamy.
shocking white.
So it's not shocking white,
Yeah.
it's just creamy. Which is like a 5% yellow, even. That would
Yeah.
make it creamy. Live is what we do for live reviews, live theater, neon lights. I'm not sure that live works that way.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again.
The way you have the little yellow dots in live, I'm not sure it goes with the era of what you're accomplishing here.
Okay.
I know what you were trying to do, but I don't think it works. There's such elegance to the whole composition that that's not working.
So should I just like delete all that stuff? Because that's what I was like.
Yeah, I delete all that stuff.
But like, would it be enough if it just said like Madam Mystique and then it had the theater and the date?
Well,
Or
in the
like-
band on the bottom
Yeah.
right, I'd probably put more information there. Like I would, perhaps that's where I put the date, because the red on the black is not working for me.
Mhm.
And I'd leave Madame Mystique. I wouldn't repeat the Madame Mystique font for Friday, October 13th.
Okay.
Because Madame Mystique, you've now made a logo by that font. But by repeating it with the date, you've kind of diminished the wowness of how mystique it is. It's called McKinsey. Isn't that what it's called?
I don't know. Those are actually two different fonts.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would simplify the font more to like you've heard better.
Okay.
And I would start using that empty white space, which won't be white anymore. It'll be a deep color, so you might have a reverse type, right?
Mhm.
And put your information in there. And then maybe move, and then see where the words Arlington Theater belong. And the logos and the website and how to buy the tickets and nobody's put the cost of tickets in theirs. You might consider the cost, guys, to add to your stuff. Some do, some don't. You know, if it's a flat rate, yes, they put the cost. If it's Ticketmaster and you get anywhere from $10 to $10,000, no, they don't, right?
Yeah.
So, I think we're back to our design principles and our design elements. You created balance. You have positive and negative space for these two triangles, basically, of how you balanced it. You created a hierarchy with black band, which is going to command the color, and Madame Mystique is going to be white. So if this becomes creamy, maybe Madame Mystique becomes creamy in that way. So they become like well, just a softness. And then use this area for property. For stylized stuff is great stuff. And then you're not going to want those to be white. And maybe we're back to the same conversation of why did you stroke those? Same thing like with Garrett's. Don't stroke them, just color them. Color them different shades of color or something like that. Give a pretend drop shadow to it. Don't do an effects drop shadow because that's going to ruin your style. See if that works. Maybe not, maybe it does. But don't outline them. And they're probably rounded corners, not square corners. Nothing. So you can create a rounded corner. Thanks. Good. Anybody else want feedback?
All right, so for mine, I decided to do a Day of the Dead poster. So this is the one I'm kind of working on right now. I kind of wanted to use like the negative space, and I want to add more artists, like the artists that are going to be playing a Day of the Dead around here to kind of give it more a colorful Day of the Dead look to the skull, but I don't want to take away from it too much.
You didn't show us your brief before, did you?
Oh, no, I didn't.
So could you talk about that?
This is kind of, I haven't added all my information to my brief, but I'm going to do a festival at Santa Barbara Bowl, Day of the Dead. This is an ongoing festival. And these are some of the colors. I want it to kind of be vibrant. So that's kind of how Day of the Dead is kind of seen. And then these are some of my roughs. I really wanted to use, I saw one of the posters that you put on online, and it really used the negative space, and the wording went through it, and it kind of gave like an idea of it without being too normal, I guess. So I've kind of gone with that theme. But I'm open to changing some things. I learned a lot with Garrett's changing the wording or lettering, because I did a lot of this in Illustrator. So I can kind of mess with a bunch of fonts.
So Dia de los Muertos is going to have a bunch of bands.
Mm-hmm. So usually on Sugar Skulls they have like the flowers around here. I wasn't sure if I wanted to add them or not, if it would be too distracting, but I was thinking of adding different colors here with the bands. So adding the text, more text to the skull, making it look colorful. I don't know.
So do you have a type of poster you're emulating? I mean, a type of look, like a style or an era?
I kind of wanted it to look kind of like stamp-like.
Stamp-like. Explain that to me.
Like, kind of like cut wood stamp.
Oh, so you want it to look like a woodcut? Like a print?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's look at that. So who's got some thoughts here? Yeah.
I was gonna say to make like, do you want to put like the flower patterns on it?
Yeah.
what you could do is make the opacity really low so it doesn't seem too like striking. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And then I would also say maybe make the skull bigger so that you can
Yeah.
kind of make the space between the letters bigger so they're more readable.
Yeah.
Did you draw the skulls? Or?
Yeah, I drew the skull and then all the flowers.
Why do you think that type?
I messed with a couple different like stylized types, but I like this one. I think I want to go with a little bit of a thicker one though. That's not.
And do you want to put all the band names on it?
I'm kind of torn if I should have more. If I should put the bands on there or just kind of leave it like a festival where there will be bands. It's not really the main thing of it.
It's not
Um,
at the ball?
no, people go no matter what, no matter who's there. So I mean,
Oh, so we don't care who the band is.
yeah, it's more of the
just-
festival.
We just want the event. I got
Yeah.
that. Okay. So, who's got more thoughts?
I think the sugar skull is good. I don't know what you said that you wanted to make it look like a stand. I was thinking that you could add some depth to the skull, especially in the temples,
Yeah.
and then you could have the kind of flowery band names that are part of the sugar skull kind of like fading into that depth so that they're more just contoured than the letters that stand out.
Mm.
I'd say make the nose a little bit wider.
Okay.
Like, you know, I mean, maybe my eyes are just horrible, but I can't really see Los.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a few thoughts.
Okay.
I think I got to swim around on the internet for a second to talk about it. So, I'm so confused. So let's pull up sugar skulls. So sugar skulls are like psychedelic to me.
Mhm.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, I was thinking of adding more colors.
I think would be amazing because that creates festival to me. That speaks festival. So, does everybody know the term sugar skull? Yeah.
I think are you supposed to eat them?
Why are they called sugar skulls? Do we know?
I know they're made out. Some of them are made out of sugar.
Are they?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's an offering.
Oh, it's an offering. Well, so you have lots of inspiration for patterns and shapes and stuff.
Mhm.
So I started thinking about this, and I started thinking about, and I'm going to feel bad that I. So I start thinking of posters like these here, where you create this psychedelic type in shapes. And I just think it's so interesting how it's expansive and it's warped and morphed. So when I was looking at your skull, which is where? Is it? Okay. So when I looked at your skull, I kept thinking it, and your type in your shapes, I kept looking at how pointy your type was,
Yeah.
thinking it hurt the skull.
Yeah.
and I wanted your type to take the volume of the skull.
Yeah, that's what I want to.
Okay, and then I wanted like if the cheek had the date and the forehead had, Dia de los Muertes, and
Yeah, that's what
gosh, John, it gives me a heart attack every time. That would definitely stress me out for my ringer. So, so let's do this. We'll get away from that in a second. I want to just get the spelling. Okay, so here's Photoshop effects for type. But if I remember correctly, there's something called the Type Warp tool in Illustrator. Anybody know this tool?
I was trying to use it.
It might be. Did you use it?
I didn't use it, but I was trying to figure it out.
Reshaping text right here. No, you don't want that. I don't think it's very hard. I forgot how it is, and again, I'm back to. It's called envelope distort. That's what it is. And what you do, I don't think it's hard at all. Did we quit Illustrator? I know I'm going to make a fool of myself because I can't remember this tool. But let's see if I can figure it out bravely. Because it's kind of cool for shaping things, and between the patterns and the shapes you might come up with, something fun. So let's just make a new document. And now that I've worked so hard to spell psychedelic correctly, we're going to use the word psychedelic and type it here. So if we type the word, what do we do? Let's just do this. Let's type the word psychedelic. Oh, that's not. Is anybody else interested in this? Yeah? Okay. And you guys know I'm winging it and I don't know what I'm doing, okay? So you'll be kind to me. I never use Illustrator for type. Okay. So let's try effect. Look for something envelope. All right, let's just go back to this. So here you can use your mesh grid for it, right? See, I don't think you have to turn it to outline before, but let's see. So we're in type. What do they want us to do? Oh, transform, object transform. There it is. Let's see what that is. No, I don't think that's it. I will have to look it up, but it's envelope distort tool, and I don't want to bore you while I learn how to do this again. I used to know, and it wasn't called envelope distort, but let's just see if it if we create outlines with it, if that works. Type, create outlines, edit, object, envelope, distort. Oh, maybe that's what I needed. Make with warp. Let's try that. Okay, so we can preview it, and we can just do that. We can do that. We can do that. Okay, let's cancel that. Here's type. No, object. Envelope, distort. Make with a mesh tool. So what you do is it'll create rows and columns over this. Okay, this is what I was looking for. Envelope mesh. Okay. So we turned it to outline. We went to object. No, we went to object. Is that what we did? Object. We'll go back. Yeah, we went to object, envelope, distort, and then we went to mesh. Okay? And then what it does is it gave us rows and columns. And when you're an Illustrator, you can select one vector point. So every little blue dot is a vector point. So let's just kind of hone in on this. So every blue dot's a vector point. If we use our white arrow or direct selection tool, we can click on one vector point and distort it. And it lets you bloat it. And then in Illustrator, as you guys all know, Illustrator has these vector handles. So we can change shapes of things by tugging on them and making them round and psychedelic. So I visualize you trying to shape the skull.
Yeah.
Like I visualize you overlaying some Chrome, right? So I visualize you getting a dimensional skull where you have lights and darks behind it so you can get a sense of the dimensionality. And then playing with your type and your artwork and your flowers and all that by manipulating it this way. And then, of course, you can color it whatever you want. So I think it might be fun because I think it might take you to some of these psychedelic kind of type posters and that colorful Day of the Dead sugar skull, both combined.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that? Is that where you were headed in your brain?
Yep. I just couldn't figure out how to get there.
Sometimes it's really hard to figure out how to get there for all of us, but hopefully that helps you get there.
That's
right?
it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
wow.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Did you guys like that little mesh tool? Yes, John.
I found that Arlington font, and I'll post it on the archive.
Oh, John.
It's called Low Type.
It's called what?
Low Type. Lotype.
Where'd you find it?
What font is? So I took the Arlington logo, brought it into Photoshop, cleaned it up.
Yeah, but is the font free? Like really fast?
It's free, yeah.
It's free.
It's loaded on this machine right now.
Oh,
There it is.
he's your hero. Okay. Anybody else want feedback? Is that true that everybody paid? Okay. Ben, did you revamp yours?
Yes.
Feel better?
A little bit better, yeah.
Lotype. I'll post a link on the archive.
So I shared my concept last week, so I'm just gonna head down to some of the stuff that I've been working on. And it was a silent DJ kind of thing, concept at the Santa Barbara Bowl. Except I don't know what happened. Oh, there you go. So this is the one I'm working on right now. I was talking to Vicky earlier, and she said to focus more on the people, and I agreed in some sense. So I did this really quick. I copied off this image, but instead of like people walking, I want people like dancing towards the silent DJ at the bottom.
just supposed to be the ground, and then having the information be at this corner as if everyone's kind of coming towards the event. That's what I just thought of recently. If you look at this is another one I worked on, just kind of, I've been trying to play with type and image and a little bit of texture and color to kind of get my composition less static and more, of not messy, but a little more, I don't know what the term I'm looking for, but I wanted to make it look fun, but at the same time really play with what the concept of silent DJing and like the event of it. It's not loud, it's quiet, but at the same time you're having a lot of fun and it's very energetic. So I want that energetic aspect to it. Oh, and then this was another one I was working on really quick. I don't really know what that is. I just did it. But this was one of the roughs that I was working on. And if you have any thoughts about how to kind of go around that concept.
Talk about why you like the Dylan poster.
I like it. I just copied the image really quick. I like it because it was static, but you kind of see like the fun and the energetic aspect that I want into it. So I just did that really quick and see how that looked like and do that in there as a thought. And I want to keep it colorful, but very minimal at the same time, so it's not hard to read. And yeah.
So your idea is that people are dancing,
Mm-hmm.
not going to work.
No. So I copied this image really quick just to show you guys what
This is
I was
people
going
walking
for.
down the street in suits, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's actually it's cool because they're walking into silence.
mhm.
It looks like they're like running towards like the event. That's what I thought.
Right.
That's
They're, like,
that was
excited
the
running towards like the crowd or something.
yeah, that was what the point was to do. Yeah.
You guys got more thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the color in the
Mhm.
I like the purple and the green, which is cool, but maybe if you did like more shades of the purple and the green or something.
Mhm.
So there was like, I feel like I agree with you, like you want more, like messy, quote unquote, kind
Yeah.
of, like more of like the texture of it. And I feel like maybe color might be a good way to go to bring that in, but like still keeping like the simplistic like people running in.
Mhm. I get that. That's what I'm trying to do. I can't get there just yet. Mm-hmm. You can even put that artwork. I really like the abstract lines. Well, this is the actual image, the artwork that. So this isn't my image; it's another picture. This was just a throw-in to put in there. Something like that. Mm-hmm. Can you go back to this one? Yeah. Just to, add some like cool organic shapes. Yeah. That's kind of what I was trying to do in another version, but I didn't know how to go about doing that also.
So where are you headed now? The crowd?
Yes, the crowd one, which I don't know where it is.
Maybe you can make the background like different colors, like green. Or you have to green like the purple and the reds and those colors.
Mm-hmm.
Having like them wear different headphones and having like when you display the artists, like have them in different colors because you can change the station.
Yeah.
If you're listening to one artist while the person next to you is listening to another one, that's so funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of cool to see a crowd with different colors, like every stuff going on at the same time.
Yeah.
You can say like late night because the hours of the whole are till 10 p.m. because of the neighbors, but since it's silent.
Oh. Yeah.
all of you, when you do your brainstorming, should keep this in mind. Turn things over from a very different perspective point of view. You know, we think how we see things, not a unique perspective, and I think what makes this energetic and exciting is an aerial view. And so you can feel the energy. And I love the positive negative space. I know it's not a completed composition, but it makes me want to keep the people really flat. And like, but make the floor busy and energetic with the lights and the colors that you do. Yeah, because I think that would make it kind of come vibrate and you could like feel the pulse. Like when I think of music, I'm always thinking of the vibration and all that kind of stuff. And that might be fun. We had talked earlier about what Cassie maybe said about different headphone peddlers based on what they're listening to. Is that what you just said, Cassie?
That was something.
Who said that? Mary Kate? And then the only thing that's really bothering me with this concept at this moment is that the silent DJ type is so, again, formal and angular. It doesn't feel like music. Right. I don't know. I like the unique perspective. There is also, I do want to tell you this, there is also for all of you, and I am not good at this, just so you all know, in Illustrator, there is perspective grid tool. So if you launch your perspective grid, get rid of my psychedelic type, you can, whatever side is active, like I said, I don't use this very much, whatever side is active, you can draw on the grid and it draws for you. So if I change the side I'm drawing on now, you get this magic perspective, and it will do that with type also. So for example, maybe I shouldn't have done that with my psychedelic type. So if I, let's see, let's turn this to outline. I'm not very good at this. I don't use it very much. But if I drag this here, let's see. No, I think I have to set type on it. So let's try this. No. I forget how to do it with type, but it will do it with your signage and so forth, okay? Just so you know. And the only reason I'm saying that this is really great is because if we come back to, where are you?
It's an Acrobat.
Oh, it's an Acrobat, thanks. If we come back here and you want to create perspective, a unique perspective, that's a really fast way to get there. Does anybody ever use that perspective tool? It's really magic. A little bit?
A couple of times.
It's magic, right?
Yeah, I've never gotten like too deep into it.
It's a little scary.
It is, yeah.
It's a little, it really takes some practice. But you can create, but with it, you can create, no, I thought I had it. No, I lost it. Anyway. I totally lost it. Why would I think it's going to work here? Well, anyway, I am not. Maybe it's just you have to put the type in a shape or something like that, and it has to be in a shape as a vector. But what I appreciate about what you've done is the unique point of view and the aerial point of view. It just creates a bunch of energy. And you get to manipulate proportion and scale really well with it. Yeah,
make the shadows different colors. Bam.
Oh, yeah, he's
Yeah.
right. And he's feeling good about it too. That's great. So there's your, so it creates your energy. That sounds fun. So I think you're in the right direction with it.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Awesome.
That sounds good. Anybody else want to come?
Can you, how did you get to the little thing right there?
The perspective tool.
Yeah, how did you just open it?
Right here. This thing. It's can you see where my cursor is?
Yeah.
It's the
Okay.
perspective tool. And then it's really hard to get rid of. I don't use it often enough. It really requires you can change the perspective itself. You can also, let me see if I'm going to do this right. No, that's the underneath. You can I forget how you do this. You can change, I have to look it up. Perspective selection tool. Maybe that's it. Oh, that's it. You can move your walls. So you can change your perspective entirely. You can change your point of view. Oh, I think you can do aerial too. Underneath, up above. It's really cool. It does take some practice. Like I said, I don't use it very much, but it might be like just 15 minutes of learning about it might get you the coolest, most interesting type with this perspective of people that might just be so unique. So that's how you get there. Okay. And this is only a grid. It's like guidelines. So anyway, so next week, Braylee, you'll help me remember this. Everybody brought roughs today. Next week, you will come with your finished printed poster. Okay. And if you go larger than 11 by 17, that's great. Do not forget to trim it like you did your billboards. Don't forget. So when you print it with crop marks, so you've created a bleed so you can trim it. And if you have more than one, because you just must, please print them all. We'd love to see them. Yeah.
Are we going to put them in context in our brief?
You will put them in context in your brief, but just to save you guys a little breather in case there's some criticism that you want to revise, yes, put them in context in your brief. And when you put them in context in your brief, thanks for asking that. Here we are. Down here are sample posters. You might even want to put them in this column of the first poster ever, right? You might find different environments for your poster, not just flat. You might decide, for example, I had to do this for the Granada, actually. So let me see if I can get here. Yeah.
The font that I found may not exactly be it. Probably what happened was the person who put the logo up on the webpage, the word mark on the webpage, probably was working for the Arlington, found that font. The people at the Arlington said, great, because they don't know anything about fonts. They probably were looking at the neon sign on the front of the theater, and that's all there was to it. So I found something, probably, if this were a real job, you could show that to them and they'd think you're a genius.
Okay. And you put it on the thing?
It's already on the archive now.
You're the best.
John's the best. I don't think we used it this year. I think we used it last year. This is what I wanted you to see. So I don't think this is a finished version, but the Granada, if you Google Granada photos, high resolution, they have a ton of them out there, ton. And so I took these marquees, and these were sponsors for an event. And I took out what was in the marquee and put in something. So, you know, if it's a Granada event that you're doing or an Arlington event, it might be super awesome to, you know, put them in context in the venue. Even if you, you know, even if we look here and you start to look at some of the images, I'm going to say up close, you know, like let's say here, maybe you just put it on the Arlington and you just pretend to post it on the column. Not that they would, but, you know, there might be some marquee that shows up like the one that showed up for the Granada. I mean, they happen to have a photo of it.
Do they have one outside of Arlington?
That's what I'm looking. Here's one right there.
Okay, I work next door.
You can go take a photo. Right, exactly. I mean, wouldn't that just be super great? So you get the idea. Pick your venue and make it authentic to it. And think of different ways that you show it. That's the good part. When we put them in context, we create the illusion of what we're capable of. So, okay, everybody good? All right, have a beautiful week. We'll see you next week.